Hello, second grade. It's Mr. Silva here for our weekly video. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited when I hear that you've watched my videos, and I've gotten to hear back from some of you about them. So I'm so proud of you all for doing that. So as you can see on the screen, October is National Bullying Prevention Month. That means in the month of October, Mr. Gomez and I, the other counselor, are really focusing on making sure that you understand what bullying is and why it can't happen. At Darnall, Darnall is a bully-free zone. It's not respectful, it's not responsible, and it's definitely not safe. So we have to make sure that we all do our part to make sure it doesn't happen. So let's talk a little bit more about bullying. When someone is not being safe and respectful, it can sometimes be called bullying. Bullying is when someone keeps being mean to someone else on purpose. Notice that I said keep being mean. It's when someone is picking on someone else over and over. And the person that it's happening to, the person that's being bullied, is not able to make it stop. So bullying is unfair and it's one-sided. No one wants or deserves to be bullied. So today, we are going to talk about recognizing bullying, because before we can do anything, we have to make sure that we know how to identify bullying in the first place. So recognize is the first R to the 3 R's to bullying. So if you see the first box, orange box on the left, that's what we'll be talking about today. And in future weeks, we'll talk about the other 2 R's. So again, recognize. It is the first R in the 3 R's of bullying. Remember earlier I said that bullying is unfair? What does unfair mean? What do you think? I think unfair is when something is not right, it's definitely not fair, and it's not equal. And do you remember the other thing I said? I said that it's only bullying if it's one-sided. So let's talk about what one-sided means. One-sided is when one person keeps trying to hurt or threaten another person. So only one person is hurting the other person. Also, the other person that's being hurt is not trying to hurt anybody back. So that's what one-sided means. So let's talk more about how to recognize bullying. Bullying hurts bodies or it hurts feelings. It happens over and over again. And the person that it's happening to is not able to make it stop. So let's go through those one more time. How do we recognize bullying? Bullying hurts people's bodies. So if someone hits them or hurts their body in some kind of way that would make it hurt or cause pain, or it can be hurting other people's feelings, making them feel really sad or upset, or making them feel really uncomfortable. Also, for it to be considered bullying, it has to be something that happens over and over again. So if someone says something mean to somebody else one time, it's not something that we would call bullying. But if it's something that they keep doing to the same person over and over, then we would talk about whether it's bullying. The last part, remember, is that the person that's being bullied is not able to make it stop. So now that I've taught you how to recognize bullying, I need you to be bullying detectives. We're going to watch a short video together, and I would like you to focus on those things that we just talked about, how we recognize bullying. I want you to think, is there something happening that's unfair or one-sided? Is someone getting hurt? Is it happening over and over? Is the person that's experiencing it able to get it to stop? I want you to think about what Claire is doing in this video. Really focus on Claire, okay? Let's start watching.
Adana, look what your cousin Brianna just sent you, Mom says, handing me a package. Inside the package is the best gift ever, Brianna's coat. I've always wanted that coat, and now it's mine. It's even more special because Brianna wore it first. Every day when I put it on, it's like getting a warm hug from my favorite cousin. Even though it's a bit worn out, I love that coat. Except that is when I wear it to school. And it's all because of Claire. My cubby and coat hanger are right next to Claire's. Every day, right before recess, Miss King tells us to get our coats. And every day, when Miss King isn't looking, Claire makes fun of my coat. Where did you get that from? The garbage dump? I try to pretend I can't hear her. Sometimes I give her a nasty look, but none of that stops her. She keeps talking about how ugly my coat is and that I'm too poor to buy a new one. Hey, Adana, your mom could use that coat to clean floors, she says. Claire even gets some of the other kids to make fun of me, too. It's so unfair. I haven't ever said anything mean to them. I feel embarrassed and hurt inside when Claire picks on me. I wish I could just wear a different coat to school, but I can't. It's the only one I've got. Today, when Miss King tells us it's time for recess, my stomach churns. I don't even want to go to recess if I have to walk by Claire to get my coat. I could say mean things back to Claire when she makes fun of me, but that would just make the problem worse. I think this is bullying, and I want it to stop. When Claire isn't around, I'm going to ask Miss King what I should do. Miss King says she's glad I told her about my problem. She says she wants everyone in her class to feel safe and respected. She asks me questions about what's been happening. She agrees that Claire is bullying me. I'll talk with Claire and tell her that bullying is not allowed, Miss King tells me. I'll also move everyone's coat hangers and cubby places around so you won't be next to Claire anymore. But what if Claire finds another place and time to pick on me about my coat? I ask her. Well, let's practice what you can say to Claire using your strong, respectful voice, says Miss King. It's also important to let me know if Claire continues to pick on you after you've asked her to stop. Claire's coat hanger isn't next to mine now, but that doesn't stop her from being mean. She gets behind me when we're walking out the door and starts picking on me about my coat again. But this time, I'm ready. Claire, stop saying bad things about my coat, I say in my strong, respectful voice. It's the only one I have, and I like it. It's from my favorite cousin. What's the big deal? I'm just kidding. Well, it's not funny. It's bullying. Claire looks surprised. I think she knows what she did was wrong and hurtful. Well, guess what happens? At first, Claire just leaves me alone. But a few days later, Claire tells me she's sorry for being mean to me. She admits that the pants she's wearing used to belong to her big sister, and they're her favorite pair.
All right, so hopefully you are all paying really good attention so you could recognize the ways in which bullying was happening in that video. So do you think Claire was bullying Adana? Hopefully you're saying a big fat yes, because they talked about it in the video. Claire was bullying her. But I want to know, how were you able to recognize that Claire was bullying Adana? Remember, recognize is our first R, and that's what we're focusing on today. What were your clues? What happened? I'm going to list them here that I remember. I remember Claire was being mean on purpose. She was going out of her way to be mean to Adana. She made fun of Adana's coat every day, so she did it over and over again. She also got other kids involved for them to make fun of Adana. That was incredibly unfair. These actions hurt Adana. She felt embarrassed and she felt hurt. And Adana was not able to make it stop. Remember, she ignored her, and Claire just kept doing it. So I want you to think, how would you feel if you were Adana? This is when we use empathy, which I know we've talked about before. It's that really big word where we put ourselves in someone else's shoes, or we try to think about how another person might be feeling. So how would you feel if you were Adana? I know how I would feel. A lot of different emotions, like she talked about in the video. She said embarrassed, but I would be really upset, maybe even angry from how much Claire, if Claire picked on me that much. So it's time for us to finish, and I just want you to remember in your head that today we focused on the first R of bullying, and that is recognize. And I would like you to go back and remember, how can we recognize that bullying is happening? And if you can't remember, you can go back in the video a little bit and watch, because we talk about that in the beginning. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time.